Hi everybody, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, one cruise ship is leaving forever. One cruise ship is starting up its brand new sailings under a new cruise line. We also have Hawaii issuing a warning to all cruise ships sailing in her waters. And finally, how would you like to go on a bucket list cruise to a specific country and actually never get to that country? Well, yesterday we announced that Carnival Corporation is saying that, P&O Australia will be no more starting in 2025 in March. They are going to absorb 2 cruise ships into their fleet, and they are going into the Carnival fleet, and then they are going to get rid of 1. Well, we found out that the cruise ship that will be leaving P&O, they're going to retire the ship, is the Pacific Explorer. So yeah, I've had numerous stories about this cruise ship in the past for various reasons, some good, some not so good, but it does have a historic kind of feel to that ship. You can see, however, why it's probably the ship being chosen. It came online in 1996, which makes it pretty old as far as cruise ships are concerned, and unfortunately it's going to retire. Not sure if it's going to go to the scrapyard or if it'll be recommissioned under a different cruise line. Speaking of being recommissioned under a new cruise line, we have Margaritaville's at Sea's new Islander. That's right, the Islander will be setting sail. It's twice the size of their current ship they have in there. In fact, it has 1,100 staterooms. 700 of them, I believe, are balconies. It can hold just over 2,600 passengers, which is much larger than the other ship. Now, what is Margaritaville at Sea known for with Jimmy Buffett? Well, they're known for bars and they're known for music, and this ship will be no exception. They're going to have 11 different bars and lounges on the ship. They're providing more entertainment, they say, on board as well. Perhaps they will have some production shows of some kind on there, as they have a main theater on this size of ship. The ship also has a 14-story atrium, which is still very, very unique these days on some cruise lines. So you can see it is quite a large ship. One of the big drawing points is going to be their poolside bar, which is 3 stories in size, which is I'd say a pretty big bar. So yeah, they have been promising this is going to set sail in Tampa on June 14th, later this month, and will also start a new trend for them, as they normally offers 2-day cruises, maybe a 3-day cruise here and there, but these sailings will be 4 and 5 day sailings, so a little bit longer at sea with a larger ship and more variety. The ships are very bright and aqua-colored staterooms all over the ship, so I'm sure it will appeal to a lot of people. It's also a lot cheaper than many of the mainstream cruise lines, so I'm wondering how many people are going to give this cruise line a try now that this bigger ship, offering a few more amenities on board and a little bit longer cruises out of Florida, maybe people will give it an even bigger chance. The other ship was fairly popular, but not near what the big cruise lines are. We have the Department of Land and Natural Resources, and they have sent out a warning to all cruise lines after the Celebrity Edge has appeared to be within 3,000 feet of the Denali coast. No cruise ship over 50 passengers, or any ship of that matter for over 50 passengers, is allowed within that 3,000 feet marker. Well, it certainly looked like the ship was close, and their investigation was inconclusive. They couldn't have, they obviously didn't have somebody go out and measure and somebody say, would you stake your life that they were within 3,000 feet? no one's going to say, yes, I am, unless there was some sort of way to calculate it. The cruise ship captain was very, you know what, I know I was in this deep water. I couldn't say for sure that I was outside the 3,000 feet marker, but I think I was, but I can't say for sure. Very kind of anonymous when he was interviewed. Didn't want to commit one way or the other, and without real hard proof, they could not prosecute. But that doesn't mean they're not going to warn everybody. And they have sent out a letter to them saying that we recognize the cruise ships industry contribution to the state's economy. However, the mission of the Department of Land and Natural Resources is to ensure Hawaii's precious and unique natural and cultural resources are protected now and in perpetuity. We are putting the industry on notice that they and the community will be closely monitoring activity not only along the Na Pali coast, but throughout our state ocean waters. We urge you to conduct your operations in compliance with not only the letter of the law, but in the spirit of aloha. So yeah, it's funny how one incident can maybe possibly change a whole industry in that area. Captain, taking a leisurely stroll because they couldn't get into one port that day, decided, let's take them along this beautiful coastline, got too close to shore, and now it can affect the whole industry, and they're on notice. Things happen for a reason, but I think the cruise lines had better take notice before Hawaii starts limiting their cruise ship capacity in the islands as well. Next, I have a story about a cruise to a specific country, and they never got to that country. But before I get there, let me just invite you to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. If you want to keep up to date with everything going on in cruising, from the ports that happen to the new ships coming online to ships that are being decommissioned and the industry warnings and what's happening out there, not to mention tips and tricks that might just save you a little bit of money on your next cruise. Definitely some frustration sometimes, and might make your next cruise go just a little bit smoother. Really does help the channel out, and I really do appreciate it. All right, let's get right into the story. Currently, the Carnival Pride is on a cruise to Greenland, or at least that was what they were supposed to do. However, after 9 days of this sailing so far, the very first 3 ports, including the first 2 to Greenland, and then the second one in Newfoundland, the weather was too rough, and they have to tender in these locations, and they couldn't do it. So already, instead of 3 ports of call, they've had 9 sea days in a row. And now they will not be visiting Greenland at all. In fact, I believe their next 2 stops, I believe they're in Corner Brook, Newfoundland today, and then Halifax, and then they return back to the United States. So very disappointing, and it's kind of rough to blame anybody. It's the weather. They can't tender. They're not going to take a chance on you dying on a tender boat, and I wouldn't take a chance on dying on a tender boat. But people are a little upset and people a little frustrated, and right now the cruise line has not offered any compensation for the missed ports. Remember, they're under no obligation to do so. They went to the location, they could not get ashore. It's not their fault, it's the weather's fault, it's an act of God, if you will, and so they're under no obligation. However, when you go on a cruise that says, I'm going on the Greenland cruise, and you don't go to Greenland, people expect some kind of compensation in some way. I imagine it's just a little bit disappointing for those passengers on board. I don't blame them. You know, Greenland and Iceland is a cruise I would love to do in the future, but I would understand if we couldn't get into port because of weather. Again, safety should always take priority. We'll have to wait and see if Carnival offers anything on the Carnival Pride, but as of right now, mum's the words. Well, let me know. Do you think they should get some kind of compensation, maybe a $100 onboard credit to spend while they're spending 9 days at sea that they weren't expecting to do? Or do you say, hey, it's the luck of the draw and it is what it is? Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.